Right. Well, this should be better. And again, let me know in the comments if it is. I'll just give you guys a second and we'll see. All right. Looks like we have the first person on. And, yeah, let me know if this sounds better. Is the audio okay? Alrighty. We got the first people coming in. Yeah, so I tried to use streaming software, which was absolutely horrible, as you saw. And yeah, that means unfortunately you will have to look at my ugly mug, right? But nevertheless, I thought it was time to do a live stream. It's been a long time since I did one. And yeah, there we go. So we got some people from New York, it looks like. Yeah, the Big Apple. Cool, cool. Hi, Albert. We got some people from the Ukraine. Hey, Slava Ukraine. Good, good. Yeah, so the purpose of today is to talk about 3D stuff, guys. I want to keep it a very open topic. We can talk about any 3D object you like. You ask, I answer. That's kind of the idea. Whether you are still studying to become a 3D artist, whether you already are a 3D artist, and so forth and so on, right? So I'll take a minute or so for some people to join in. And in the meantime, please let me know where you guys are from. So I see New York, USA. I see Ukraine. Cool, cool. And yeah, okay. So while you guys do that, think about, hey, Sweden, very nice. Think about any questions you might have, whether it's hardware related, software related, the business side of things, um, student questions, anything like that. All right. Poland, Sweden, nice. Usually around this time of day, there are a lot of people from India, and for some reason, not so much today, looks like. Alrighty, guys. Well, let me have it. What kind of questions do you have? Questions about, I don't know, 3D Code, ZBrush, Maya, your employer, studios. I mean, if you guys have no questions, then this is going to be a very short live stream. I don't know how many of you were actually looking at the live stream with OBS just now, but I got the impression that that was pretty bad. So I don't think I'm going to be doing that. And while I'm waiting for your questions, guys, I have a question for Albert. Considering you're from New York, do you recognize this T-shirt? Okay, guys. Well, while I wait for you guys to throw in a question, there we go. Okay, I'm a modeling and texturing artist. Should I be investing my time learning Unreal Engine? Albert, yeah, of course. Hoboken. Yeah, been there. Bought the shirt there. Loved it. Really awesome. Um, yeah, so Harsh, let's get to your question. Modeling and texturing artist, should I be investing my time learning Unreal Engine? Well, Unreal Engine is, as you know, a game engine. And the thing is that a lot of, especially upcoming 3D artists, seem to think that the 3D industry is either movies or games. I know these are popular areas, but the thing is, The industry is much, much, much bigger than that. And my idea is this: if you can learn Unreal Engine on the side, sure, why not? But I would certainly not limit myself to Unreal Engine. Um, the idea, I would say, is to have a solid pipeline, meaning that you have a method to create your assets, whether they are for games or not, right? So it kind of depends on what you want to do and what kind of job you're looking for. Hopefully that kind of answers that question. Let's see. Mateusz is from Poland, right? He's saying, I'm trying to find a job as a vegetation artist, but it's really hard to find a studio who needs one. Do you have any suggestions how to find right studio? Well, let me start by saying this. I did a 10-part business series on my channel, and these are 10 videos that basically cover everything you can think of when it comes to becoming a 3D artist. The business side of things, planning, interviews, finances, taxes, everything, everything, everything. So first of all, I would say check out my career advice playlist on my channel. But that said, let me try and answer your question. You're saying a vegetation or a foliage artist. That is super specific. And my advice is always this: if you want to have a specialty, that's great. But also try to be what I call a T model artist. Now, I don't mean the pose, T pose. What I mean is this: if you look at the horizontal line, you should be a generalist where you are able to do a lot of things like modeling, props, textures, whatnot, with a certain specialty. There's a very, very low demand for someone who is a full-time 100% vegetation artist. Very, very few studios worldwide would have a need for that, I'm sure, right? However, if you have a studio where they have that kind of work now and then, and you can work there as a generalist and jump on board whenever they got something like that going on, for sure. So that's the first part of your question. The second is how to find the right studio. Well, first of all, look at their work, look at output. There are certain movies you like, certain games you like. You find out who made them, who worked on them, which ones are rich in vegetation work, if you know what I mean. Research them on LinkedIn, try to find out where they're located, how they work, whether they work remote or not, figure out what kind of people work for that company. Try to get some of these people in your network, connect with them, go into Facebook groups where people from that studio are active, and try to kind of insert yourself into that whole discussion. Um, the more you know, the better you do your homework, the better the chances are for you to get an actual job like that, right? Hopefully that answers your question a little bit. And yeah, let me know, right? Okay, what else? Let's see, YouTunes. What would you suggest to do if people is into this YouTube whole? Can make a lot of 3D models, but only have some kind of YouTube video in the background. Also, I'm completely lost. Ah, okay. Yeah, I was kind of wondering what you meant there, but what you're basically saying is I can follow along with a tutorial I'm told what to do, but I have a hard time creating something from scratch, right, without having that instruction. Well, my advice is this: the reason why this happens is people want to go too fast, too soon, right? They're working on modeling, I don't know, a rocket ship where they should be modeling a shoe, right? And what I mean by that is this: at the end of the day, the the modeling principles within polymodeling are basically standard, regardless of what you model. But if your basis is not good because you don't understand correct polyflow and that kind of thing, you will never get into a situation where you understand. Once you understand the principle, you start looking at objects. So what I advise people is this: take something super simple, like a coffee mug, right? And then break it down in your head. What's a coffee mug? Well, a coffee mug is a part of a polygon cylinder and part of a polygon torus. That's about it, right? So try and model that without looking at a video. I don't know, model a donut, which is basically a torus. If you push yourself to model something every day, as simple as it might be, right? Model a pencil, model an eraser, something like that. You will get more confidence. And then once you start looking at tutorials again, you look at the basis of the tutorial. What is this about? Oh, it's about box modeling. And then try to make something similar to what's going on in that video without copying it exactly, right? So yeah, let's do that, right? Cool. Let's see what else. Wow, Michael, nice to see you. How are you, dear? I'm awesome. Awesome. Absolutely. Thanks for asking. Let's see. Is getting good with the ZBrush and digital sculpting really important for a modeler? That kind of depends. Um, it depends on what type of artist you are. If you are working for a project developer where they are modeling real estate in 3D, you probably will not need to have a lot of sculpting skills. If you, however, are working on anything organic, let's say animals or characters or stylized props, then definitely. Would you have to be good in ZBrush and, for example, not sculpting in Blender or in Mudbox or whatever? Um, if it is very limited what you do, then I would say Blender or Mudbox would be fine. If you want to be at any type of professional level related to sculpting, absolutely learn ZBrush for sure, right? And so, is it important? In my opinion, it is. Okay. Next question. I've been studying 3D for since 2020 years. Well, that's quite a long time. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, and working since 2022 in an outsourcing studio, but now getting a little time to study more. Any tips on how to manage work and study? Yes, absolutely. The reality is, when you are in college and you're learning 3D, you're focusing on your studies, right? At some point, you get a job, hopefully. And once you're in that job, you will find out that as a 3D artist, you will never, ever, ever stop learning because it's a never ending process. As a 3D artist, you study your entire career. If you stop doing that, then you will be out of a career in no time because things develop so fast that it's just, you know, it's crazy. So the best way to do that, I would say, is to try and push the boundaries of your current job within the position that you're in. Let's say your boss is saying, "Hey, you need to model tables every day," just as an example. Ask your boss, "Hey, I heard there's a new project going on where there are chairs involved. Can I, model some chairs?" And he might say, "Well, yeah, but the thing is, these chairs, they have organic elements to them, curves and whatnot. And yeah, you should be able to do that." You ask them, "Well, can I learn that right here? Can I get involved in that?" So always try to push your boundaries. Always try to increase your skill set, and that's what my advice would be. Right? Okay, let's see. Tips right. Meet the Money says, "Hi, hi, how are you?" John said, "Why is my Indeed not available for some companies?" I have no idea. I don't work for Autodesk, so I don't know. Uh, do you have a student license? I mean, I don't know if you are aware, but in my student license is completely free. It's a fully functional software package. The only restriction is you can't use it commercially, so you can't make assets and make money off of it. But a student license, you sign up for an account, you fill in that you are a student, you fill out all the details. You will get a login for Maya, and yeah, you can use that for like 3 years, right? So I would do that. Let's see, I'm fairly decent with sculpting in Blender and had been really struggling to transfer those skills to ZBrush. Can you suggest me some ways to do so? Well, the thing is, I tend to focus with all my tutorials on a fairly basic level. Reason being that there are a lot more people that are on that level than people that are on pro level, and people on pro level typically don't need to use a lot of tutorials. Now, I would rather help 10,000 people than one, if you know what I mean, right? So when it comes to ZBrush, I started to make tutorials on that as well, and I will be doing more and more videos in ZBrush for that reason. Now, keep in mind that ZBrush is kind of an oddball compared to every other type of 3D software for the simple reason that it was never intended for 3D artists to begin with. ZBrush was developed actually as a aid for people that were doing actual sculpting, like with marble and that kind of stuff. And over time, it developed into what it is today. It really focuses on you being able to focus on the model as much as possible and not as much on everything that's surrounding that, right? So, yeah, it takes a while. A learning curve is a bit tough, but it's worth it. It's super awesome software. Yeah. Let's see. A question. I am 32 and learning animation. Is it right for me? I don't know. I don't know because I don't know you. I don't know whether it's right for you or not. Are you saying is the fact that you are 32, is that relevant? Do you think you're too old, or what's the question? Okay, John is saying, "I'm no longer a student and just starting out as a 3D artist." Well, let's see, that was related to, the availability of the software, yeah. Well, um, yeah, I mean, so you are starting out as a 3D artist, there's no indie license available, and apparently you're living in a country where it isn't available. Have you contacted Autodesk? Send them an email, contact the help desk, ask them that question. I'm sure they could figure out something, right? Let's see, Wired Sloth. Keep going, Mike. Love your tutorials. Thank you so much. Maya or Blender in gaming industry? Um, I would almost say, well, that's kind of a dangerous area. I'm most definitely a Maya guy for sure. I don't think there's anything wrong with Blender. After all, Blender is free, and a lot of people enjoy the fact that it's free. But that said, and I said this before in live streams, Autodesk is a huge company, has connections everywhere with NVIDIA, with Intel, with all that kind of stuff. For me, that kind of translates into a situation where if anything is going on in the industry, they are the first to know. And they have the reach to implement things in their software. Not saying they're always the first ones to do so, but yeah, that's my reasoning behind it. Um, I mean, if you can do the job in Blender and somebody is hiring in the gaming industry and they're using Blender, why not? Uh, yeah, it's hard to say. I can't really tell you what to do in that aspect. Okay. What's the timeline of a 3D generalist in terms of learning? For example, learning topology, UV sculpting, texture rendering. Well, first of all, it depends on what you mean by 3D generalist. 3D generalist in the sense of, hey, I can do basically pretty much anything that is not really specific specialist work. I would say if you start from scratch and you dedicate a lot of time to it, you should be able to get an internship after, let's say, a year or three, depending on how fast you learn, depending on what you're aiming for. To become a fully established 3D generalist that can hold its own and get hired by a studio and do whatever. Uh, 4 years, 5 years, something in that range. Sure. And if anyone here disagrees with that, please let me know. Let's see what else we got going on. Chris is best in future modeling testing or a mess. I'm not sure if I understand your question. Chris is better in future modeling. Can you rephrase that? I'm not sure what you mean. Blender Painter. Okay. Are you are you writing there? Welcome. Okay. Thank you for all the suggestions. Really helped me. You're very welcome. Let's see. I'm a gameplay cinematic animator. How can I find clients for game animation projects? Is there any platform you recommend? Well, again, I did a 10-part business series on my channel that covers everything. So go to my channel, look for playlist on career advice. There's a 10-part series, everything related to how to find clients, how to negotiate with clients, how to set up a contract, how to negotiate payments, uh, all the business stuff, how to find clients, marketing, PR, sales, everything. Right? Okay. Lul is saying, do you know if Switzerland has good 3D companies? I would want to go there. Thanks. Uh, that's interesting. I don't know if you know who supports my channel, but that is a company called Urban Studios. And Urban Studios is in Switzerland. So, do they have 3D companies? Oh, for sure. Their name is Urban Studios. They spell it VRBN Studios in Switzerland. I think they're an hour away from Zurich. So, you can definitely check them out, right? Let's see. Hi, how is it about texturing with Unreal Engine? How would you do it? More with my standard surface and then exporting it to modify and personalize those textures. I personally will do everything in Maya, but that's just my workflow. I create everything in Maya and then I would import it. Which has best career, modeling, texturing, rigging, or animation? Um, let's see. Best career in terms of what? In terms of the amount of money that you make, in terms of how much you enjoy your job. If it's purely about money, typically I would say animators make a bit more money, but other than that, it's kind of hard to answer it that way, right? Hey man, good to see you back. Yeah, thank you. Let's see. Which cases do you think the okay, there's some typos here. Let's see. Which cases do you think the best and use decals in Maya? Which cases are better to make as a texture in substance pair? Well, basically, a decal is a texture, but it's a texture combined with alphas, right? So it's a semi-transparent or a partially transparent texture file. So there's not really, you know, really a difference there. Let's see, my opinion on AI over 3D in future. Um, I get that question all the time. Oh, are we going to lose our job? There's going to be no more 3D animators or 3D modelers or anything like that. I heavily, heavily, heavily disagree. I think people that think that AI will take your job, they don't understand the essence of what a 3D artist is. And you can hear in my voice that I'm starting to get really serious right now because this is a subject near and dear to my heart. The thing is this: if you think about what a 3D artist does, whether you are an animator, a rigger, a texture artist, it doesn't matter. Your job as a 3D artist is to either A, tell a story, or B, help tell a story. Now, let's think about this. Let's say you're a 3D artist for a car company and they want to sell a new car, or they have a concept for a new car and they want to find investors. Whatever you are doing or helping with is to help them tell that story to the investors to invest money in that new car. or to people to go and see that new movie, or you know what I got. So the storytelling aspect is the creative aspect, and you as a 3D artist use your technical skills to make that happen, right? You talk to an art director, you talk to maybe a producer, you talk to a senior 3D artist, and they explain the storyline, they explain the emotion that they want to achieve, and all these things, right? And that's where your skill set comes in, your technical skill sets, but more importantly, your human skill set to understand human emotion, to understand what you need to do to achieve that sense or emotion or whatever. Will AI be able to make super realistic models? Sure. But all the elements that I just mentioned, they're not there, right? And if you focus your career on simply making models and not being a storyteller and helping whoever's asking you to make that model to tell that story, then you're gonna miss your mark. You probably will lose your job at some point. However, if you're a 3D artist that gets involved in the creation process, that has input on, hey, what if we do this instead of that? Wouldn't this work better? And so forth. You become part of the conversation, and then I wouldn't be worried at all, right? Okay. Use substance paint protection. Well, Mike, you could. A lot of people do. Unfortunately, and I say this with a slight tear in my eye, unfortunately, it is now owned by Adobe, and they went to a monthly payment scheme. I think it's way too expensive. I think the whole application didn't get a lot better because of it. And I personally use all sorts of applications. I use ZBrush for texturing, I use 3D Code for texturing, I use Marmoset Toolbag for texturing, I'll use Photoshop for texturing, I'll use basically whatever, right? Let's see here. I'm 45. Do I have a chance to find a job if I started learning VFX? Um, Again, it depends on a lot of things. Where do you live? How big is the market where you live? Are you gonna work virtually or not? How much money do you wanna make? What are your capabilities? A ton of things, come to play here. Uh, is it doable at 45? It is. How do I know that? Because I know a lot of people who did exactly that. I know a guy who worked on Wall Street, right? And he decided when he was 47 that he wanted to be a 3D artist. If you're dedicated enough, you'll make it. Make the same amount of money? No, of course not, but that's a personal choice. Would I quit my job today and dive into that venture? No, that would be too risky. Try to find a way to gradually get into that, right? Spend your evenings learning. Start to make some money on Fiverr on the side, making some logos and whatnot. And as you build and progress over time, you finally make a decision, will I take that leap or not? Alrighty, let's see. Thank you. Love your videos. Love from Nepal. So much. Thank you. Don't know why, but happy to see you come back. Oh, you don't know why? Okay. I'm just kidding. Um, yeah. I mean, I love hanging out with you guys. The whole reason why I a YouTube channel to begin with is to kind of stay in touch with the business, if you know what I mean. And with the business, I mean you guys from all over the world. So I enjoy that as well, for sure. For animators, beside Maya, which software do I have to learn? Well, you don't have to, but what's important for animators is, um, I mean, the software is only one part of it. If you understand the animation process in Maya, you'll understand the animation process as well. But based on what I just told you about the whole storytelling aspect, for an animator, it's way, way more important to understand human human movement. Why does a man walk differently than a woman? Why does a man stand different from a woman? Why does a child walk different than an adult? Why does a dog walk in a certain way? Um, the difference between a good animator and a great animator is exactly that. And the technical aspect of animation is just simply a part of that. So I would definitely focus on that. Okay. Let's see. Games Info says hi. Hi, Games Info. How are you? Which technical skills are learned for game animators? That's way too broad of a question. Yeah, I can't answer it that way. I don't know what you mean. Sandra, hey man, some of your tutorials helped me during my schooling for 3D. Well, that's cool. That's why I make them. So thank you so much. Let's see, how can I model a complex model like Iron Man? How do you make something like Iron Man? Simply by breaking it down into very, very small, understandable components. Iron Man is nothing more than a collection of pieces, right? And if you look at each individual piece, then it's not that daunting. Okay. Let's see. Holly's Maya tutorial. Do you think there are part-time artist roles available? I have young children and full time would be hard for me, but I'm desperate to get back into the industry and never seen one advertised yet. Um, Actually, there are tons of part-time artist roles, whether you believe it or not, because I mean, if you look at it realistically, how many full-time jobs are there? The whole job space has changed completely. There are people that work in the studio on Monday, but work from Tuesday to Friday from their home. There are people that work virtually all the time and never go to the studio, right? If you want to do, if you want to balance work life and being a parent, consider working as a freelance artist, right? And again, I did tons of videos on everything you need to know. Check my playlist on career advice. Everything is in there. Now, keep in mind, um, waiting for somebody to post something about a part-time role is quite passive. And I would be more active by contacting studios and literally asking them, "Do you ever work with part-time artists? Do you have part-time work? Do you work with freelancer artists?" And so forth. Yeah. Hey, Starman is saying, "Very sad when I saw you said you own US tutorial at the end of town." Well, as you can see, I'm back. It turned out to be a sabbatical. Um, I what I did say though is that there was a chance I would be back. I did a lot of really cool things, and yeah, as you saw in the last couple of weeks, I've been creating a whole bunch of new videos. Right? Okay, let's see what else. Um, uh, okay, that's the Iron Man question again. Let's see. Which render engine is the best for environmental artists? Is Unreal Engine 5 way better than Arnold? Um, this is kind of a mismatch of a question. I mean, which render engine is the best for an environment engine? That depends on what the environment is for. Is it an environment for a game? Is it for a movie? Is it for whatever, right? What kind of style? Is it a cartoony style? Is it a realistic style? So you need to look at the technical aspects of the environment and what's going to be used to determine whether it should be rendered in one or the other. That's more realistic. Okay. Let's see. Oh, sorry for the. I don't know if you guys can hear this. There's a huge helicopter flying over. It's a bit loud. Sorry. Working in game studio as a 3D artist, can you please guide me? I want to make my texture skills to improve. Okay. Um, all right. Let's break it into two sections. Your texturing skills. Well, texture skills involve two things, and he says modeling skills. Technical skills and creative skills. How to make a texture involves knowing which steps to do. Right. That is one part of it. The other part is creative skills, understanding textures. What makes a texture look and feel realistic. Look at textures. Go into stores. Look at clothing, for example, and take one of these, right? And literally look at the texture. Look at the leather. Look at textile. Look at the metal, and clearly understand what makes that texture so unique, right? And then try to mimic that. So it's not just a technical skill. Okay? Let's see how to apply an industry like Marvel as an animator. Um, yeah, I'm sighing a little bit because the thing is this: the whole world in Toronto wants to work for Marvel, Pixar, and whatnot. Realistically speaking, um, maybe 1% of 1% will actually do that. Is that sad? Well, I don't know because it doesn't necessarily mean that that's the coolest place ever to work just because they are so famous, right? But if that is your goal, then work towards that. Look at the style of work they create. Build a network where you link with people that work in that industry. Um, Work on, I don't know, join competitions where they are involved. They're asking people to model things. Make yourself visible. So basically, focus on that. I wouldn't personally say that's a good approach because chances are that you won't make it, and then you basically put all your eggs in one basket. Okay. Alrighty. Let's see what else. Okay. Okay. Holly's my tutorials. Okay, thank you so much. I'll definitely be more proactive going forward. And again, Holly, I would say check out that series on business tips. If you want to work freelance, a lot of helpful tips there, I think. Let's see, work in industry and freelance. How to get work as a freelancer for fresher. Again, check out that video series. I cover everything from what to do when you're in your final year of college. How do you prep for getting interviews and that kind of thing. Yeah. Michelle is saying, hello, does age count when getting a first job as a environment artist? Asking as a 28-year-old who started 3D at university 2 years ago. First of all, at 28, you are absolutely not old. Trust me, right? You are quite young, in fact. And the thing is that age, again, hard to explain. If you go for an interview for a junior position and you got 10 people sitting there waiting for an interview and they're all 19 or 20 years old and you're 28, will that impact your chances? I don't think so, right? If they are 19 and you are 55, sure. But the thing is, the key here is to not make age an issue. Um, People hire people because of their added value. If you add value as a 3D artist because you have the technical skills and the know-how and the wisdom and so forth to create the content they want and that has value, then age has nothing to do with it, right? Is it hard to enter into the industry? No, it's not. It's actually not. And maybe you didn't expect this, but I'm saying this because the industry is way, way bigger than what people think. They think, hey, I want to work for Warner Brothers or for Paramount. Working for them, is it hard to get a job there? It's very hard to get a job. But nowadays, 3D artists everywhere, absolutely everywhere. Let's say, I don't know, you have the local sushi place, right? And they want, I don't know, they want a logo, but it has to be made in 3D. You can do that. Let's say you got a local thrift store that wants to have something in 3D, or I don't know, the mechanic down the street. It's easy to find jobs in 3D. Do you want to work as a full-time 3D artist for a studio? That's a whole different story, right? And there, try to get a job. I mean, try to become an intern, try to get a job there as a junior, or what I would suggest, because the industry is changing that way anyway, I would consider to become a freelancer because that will allow you to work in various places and switch whenever you need to, right? More and more studios are working with freelancers anyway, because that's how the industry is set up nowadays. Let's say there's a new Pirates of the Caribbean movie, which will never happen because Johnny Depp said so, right? But let's say that happens. Okay. Now, the movie studio will break down whatever they need as far as CG is concerned into a whole bunch of small elements. Oh, we have the sinking ship scene, and we have the gun replacement scene, and we have this and that, and so on. They will then scatter all these projects all over the world. People in the last Pirates of the Caribbean movie, people from Montreal worked on it, from Madrid, Spain worked on it. I think people Italy worked on it, all over the place. Now, they work with freelancers for whatever they need for that specific project. And once that project is done, so are you, right? So it's moving more and more towards as needed, and that's why it's perfect to work as a freelance artist. Okay, let's see. The answer. Your answer. Yeah, you're welcome. Big gaming companies are hiring animators based on show reel or degree. Um, that's again a question I get all the time. If I'm hiring somebody and I have, I don't know, let's say 50 resumes, right? And 5 of them went to the best 3D school in the world. I will definitely put them on my stack of possibles, right? Then I go through the rest and I see somebody who has no degree whatsoever, but the portfolio is freaking awesome. That will go on the stack as well, right? So it's a combination. There's no guarantee that you're a good 3D artist because you have a good college degree and vice versa, right? So yeah, I mean, does it help? Sure. Okay. Okay. Can AI take the job of 3D artist? I already answered that question before. The architectural visualization industry have more permanent full-time jobs than VFX and games. I would say so, uh, exactly for the reason that I just explained. If you are working for, let's say, a project developer or somebody in real estate, right, that is their daily job, and they have fixed clients that do this stuff all the time, and they want 3D art all the time. It's not like a movie where once the movie is done, you have to wait for the next projects that might take 2 years. So for that reason, I would say that that is true. Yeah. Should I make a showreel video or is the portfolio enough? Depends. If you are an animator, then definitely have a showreel. If you want to have a more dynamic portfolio, like with turntables, that kind of thing, then that as well. Um, I personally, I will look at ArtStation, and whatever catches my eye is something that I would go with. I did a couple of portfolio reviews recently, and yeah, hopefully that will give you an idea of the things that I look at, right? Again, a lot of people seem to think when they create a portfolio, okay, I have this page on ArtStation and I throw up all my stuff, and that's it. Well, that's not it at all. If you look at my most recent videos on portfolio reviews, I talk specifically about what you should and should not do in your portfolio and why that is the case, right? Okay, guys. Well, phew, a lot of questions. Any more questions? It looks like I'm all caught up. And yeah, I'll give it another minute or so. And if there are no further questions, we'll call it a day. And we've been going for almost 45 minutes. So yeah, let's let's see. Let's do, I don't know, let's do maybe 2 more questions to start, right? And we'll call it a day. And if nothing pops up, then we'll see. Alrighty. Okay, so we've got 1 question here. We'll do that one. And we got 2 questions. Okay, well, the second question is one that I already answered. So let's do the question that Ross asked first. I'm scared of applying for my first job because I have a fear of not being good enough for the post of 3D animator. How should I approach this situation? Ross, that is actually really simple. The trick here is to be 100% completely honest. If you have an interview as a junior animator, they know that you don't know everything because you're a junior animator. They know that they will have to teach you on the job. That is not an issue. So for a, let's say, a senior animator, they would ask a lot of questions about your animation skills, that kind of thing. As a junior animator, yes, they will look at your work, but more importantly, they will ask you questions related to your character. Are you someone who is reliable? Are you creative? Are you involved in a team? Do you have a lot of suggestions, or are you really passive? Keep in mind, they know that you are starting from scratch, right? So don't be scared of that. If you get rejected, and that is absolutely possible, it might be because you are simply not the correct fit for them. That doesn't mean you're good or not good. It's one person's opinion, right? And just keep on going. Okay, let's see. Always keep suggesting your channel to all my friends. You're one of the best, to be honest. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Do I do portfolio reviews? Yeah, I do. Uh, okay. So I'll do one more question, guys. And it's the question by Sally. Speaking of portfolio, do I need to make art in spare time or should I use my current stuff? Uh, First of all, if you as a 3D artist are not making art in your spare time anyway, then I would be concerned. Reason being that being a 3D artist is absolutely a passion job. Nobody becomes a 3D artist because they want to make a lot of money, right? It's something that you have to do to express yourself creatively. Um, Now, that said, if you are making a portfolio, there's a reason why. I don't know what your current work stuff is, but if you are working on a portfolio, then you are maybe doing so because you're looking for a different job or you want to, work somewhere else, that kind of thing. So, in that case, I would definitely work on your portfolio. And if you have current work stuff, which is, I don't know, let's say you model furniture all day long, then you would probably have a portfolio filled with furniture, right? So yeah, there's that. Okay, guys. Well, yeah, that's it for me. It's first live stream for since a long time, since more than a year, I guess. I'm super psyched to see all of you guys here. I want to share one thing with you guys before you guys go, and that is a link to my private um, Facebook group. And there's more than 4,000 artists in this group. They share their work with each other. They support each other. They help each other with all sorts of things. And I created that group ages ago. It's a really respectful group. There's no typically, uh, trolling and all that kind of stuff going on. It's super respectful, and I would like to invite all of you. Right. One more thing is that, as you saw, I started making videos again. I did not monetize my videos, and I won't, right? But in return, what I ask you guys is if you enjoy my videos, please consider subscribing, okay? It doesn't cost you anything, but it does help me a lot. Why do I say that? Well, because 85% of every person looking at my videos, they watch the videos, but they don't subscribe to the channel, right? So that would definitely help me out. So if you're not subscribed, please do that. Okay, guys, that's it for me. Thank you all so much. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for talking with me, and I'll see you guys next time. Okay, bye, guys.